For the last 2.5 years, I've been thinking and researching this very confusing topic of Watchtower business practices, and I've never made a video about it because it ultimately amounts to what we don't know, but I've found it interesting, and I'm not making a video about it today necessarily, but just to give you a little bit of information, it has to do with this very strange, convoluted, intricately twisted, I'm pretty sure intricately twisted is the definition of convoluted, but that's neither here nor there. Elders that set up these fairly high-profile businesses and LLCs all over the place, and they're tied to Watchtower executives, if you will, and they span very fascinating sectors from textile manufacturing to chemical production and distribution to shipping companies, even things in the automotive sector. And one of the biggest ones that you'll find, or that I've found, is in real estate as well, which forms some of my opinions that I have spoken about publicly about their real estate endeavors potentially moving forward. And I've never talked about it because every single time I get the harebrained idea to have an original idea or an opinion about something that we simply don't know, I get lambasted and labeled and branded as the worst apostate. I'm a horrible thing for the EXJW community. We got to stick to the facts. What if someone's just leaving and seeing this for the first time? And I've learned my lesson, and so that's why I'm not necessarily going to talk about it. And maybe it'll be like when I go out and I stop doing YouTube videos about Jehovah's Witnesses, it'll be like the last video I ever do. Maybe I'll just do it then and go out in this glorious blaze, this thunderclap. It sounds kind of weird to call it a thunderclap if I'm honest, but hey, if you're ever wondering if it claps. But I only mention that here because I want to talk about a very interesting part of this, and there's many things that we do know here and have been reported on by other sources, and that has to do with this high-end luxury apartment complex that Watchtower purchased in 2019 that is pretty close to where they are going to be building their new movie studio. And a lot of the residents that have experienced the transition of Watchtower ownership are none too happy. And it is a counter-narrative to the propaganda that Watchtower puts out, that working with Jehovah's Witnesses or being involved with them is the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. I was just giddy with butterflies because I got to go to a work site of Jehovah's Witnesses. It was just wonderful. I've never experienced anything like this in my entire life. That is the mindset that most Jehovah's Witnesses have. But let's peer behind the curtain a little bit and see if that is consistent with what just regular old average people have to say about their experience. So let's talk about it. Hello and welcome back to the JW Thoughts channel. My name is Wally, and today we are talking about Watchtower low-key kind of abusing their power and it really pissing some regular people off. Quickly before we get into it, don't forget to drop a like on the video. It really does help it get out to more people on YouTube, and it is very much appreciated by me. It only takes like a quarter of a second. I'll give you time now. See, easy, happy, clappy, everyone's good. Also, I do have a goal of hitting 45,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you could check if you're subscribed, if it's something that you like, I would appreciate that as well. But to kick things off, let me show you a news article. Yeah, news article. I don't know why my brain literally just buffered in real time there. A news article that I came across a couple of months ago. Just brutal. Brother, this is very annoying. All right, so this is an article I came across back in July, and it's talking about longtime renters feel like they're losing a home and a community. Essentially, this is a 384 unit complex, and the witnesses have purchased it, and they're planning on turning it into corporate housing. And there's a transition period because Watchtower wants to make money and also inconvenience people. So people are being allowed to be here while Watchtower figures out their project that they're working on. And as we know, their project has been, the timeline on that continues to be pushed back. I think the original date it was supposed to be completed was like 2026 or 2025, and now it's like 2030, something like that. So I guess we'll kind of see how that goes. So essentially Watchtower got this, and then they're like, hey, we may as well use this to make some money while we figure things out at the Ramapo site. And they just sent out letters to people saying that they are no longer going to be renewing anyone's leases, which it's making people angry because this is a luxury apartment complex in a very small town. It's not like there's 50 of these that you can go to. And, you know, you live in a small town, you have your doctors, you have your kids, you have your grandchildren. Small town USA, it's a little bit more difficult and a bigger inconvenience, especially because it appears from a couple of news articles that most of the people that live here are a bit older. But let's take a look at where this really gets sticky, because there is this cross-section of Jehovah's Witness volunteers living there and paying tenants. So tenants said they've seen the writing on the wall, saying the property management company has used arbitrary measures to raise rents, and that access to amenities paying renters finance have been commandeered by the volunteers and contractors who live for free. The property has become increasingly transient, with lodgers living in apartments for brief periods of time. Large Mercedes vans parked at the north end of the 54-acre site transport volunteers back and forth to the Jehovah's Witness building site, which is slated to open in 2026. That's not definitely going to happen. What angers tenants the most is a broken promise. In 2021, after the religious order purchased the property, Okay, ZZ, my microphone might be buzzing now. I'm just going to have to do this. A Jehovah's Witness spokesperson told RCBJ that they already leased 9 rental buildings would not be affected by their ownership. The group planned to use the then slated to be built 7 rental buildings along with the restored Smith House for their volunteers. At the time, spokesperson Keith Caddy said, "We bought the property with the goal of reserving the empty buildings to support the project on Sterling Mine Road. The 168 units," he said, "will house the order's volunteers and contractors. When the project is complete, the complex will be sold and the tenants will move on." Adding, "Nothing is being changed," he said, "not the leases, not the price of the units." When asked why the Jehovah's Witnesses have pivoted in their tenancy plan, spokesperson Daniel Rice said, "We intended to retain 7 buildings to support those involved in pre-construction planning and initial works on site. That allowed for leasing the remaining 9 buildings for a period. We apologize for not communicating that clearly. We remain committed to assisting the tenants to make a smooth transition." But little about this transition feels smooth for tenants who have put down roots in this community. Many are reeling over the must vacate letter that said, "We kindly ask you to vacate the premises by July 27th and leave the property in good condition as outlined in your lease." Tenants' letters were staggered over winter months, and some have negotiated extended leases for increasing beyond July 27th date, but the extensions are final. "I moved in September 2022, and there was no indication whatsoever that this would be temporary," said Stacy Mazza, who viewed the apartment as a refuge from a previously tough situation. "About a year ago, tenants were given large but inconsistent rent increases for the same units. There was no rhyme or reason. It was inconsistent. They were making it up as they went. They did not communicate or clarify what was going on. One tenant was faced with a $1,000 monthly increase. Everything was ad hoc, uncertain. We were being left in the dark." The paying tenants were mostly 50 or older, former Rockland homeowners who were looking for a luxury complex, which is in short supply in the county. Many chose the location to be close to work, grown children, and grandchildren. Wow, Zizi, you are really on one today. Please, for the love of God, no. Let's just go here. Let's just go here. You know, it's a fine place to be. This is an interesting situation that Watchtower has cooked up here. Now they have this broken promises. They've kind of changed their mind on how they're going to utilize the property, to the point where now they're just kicking people and disrupting their lives after they told them, hey, nothing's going to change. Everything's going to be fine. And by the sounds of it, they're not very good at communicating. Now, the thing I find potentially like the most egregious is that there is a big complaint here about people having access to being able to use the amenities that they pay for. So I did a little bit of internet sleuthing and pulled up some reviews that people made about living here. And I looked at some other apartment complexes just to make sure I wasn't being disingenuous to Watchtower here, that I wasn't just, pouring kerosene on a fire that didn't really exist. But I couldn't find this many comments about a singular problem really anywhere. So it all starts first off that in their contracts, I'll put it on screen now, there is a community amenity fee that is paid per unit, and it's $50 per month. So it's a 384 unit complex, and they are spending $50 per month per unit to access the amenities. And by the sounds of a lot of these comments, after the Jehovah's Witnesses purchased the property, that's when they started charging people an additional fee to use the amenity, but they also have to reserve it, but they can't reserve it because the Jehovah's Witness volunteers get to use it whenever they want. So it's a little interesting here. So I'll try and go through some of these comments as briefly as I can. Here's one that says, Woodmont closes things down such as the gym, the pool, or even trash pickup at the drop of a hat, and later says they have charged money onto your account because you have had more bags than you were supposed to. How exactly does that make sense? So this is just like a garbage fee, but why am I paying an amenity fee if I cannot use the amenities? If garbage valet service cannot pick up the trash in which I pay for, why am I responsible to walk out in the snow or, have to pay for extra bags? That seems a little bit ridiculous. As far as management, you don't get any worse. Their communication is downright terrible. No one will return their call. Their office on premises is always dark and empty. I'm not saying it's often empty. It's literally always dark and empty. Call and leave a message. I have 4 times, no response. The maintenance crew and cleaning crew are awesome. Things in the clubhouse are broken and not being fixed. Ice maker over a year, treadmill several months, golf simulator mat over a year, rent keeps increasing, clubhouse rented out every weekend, not being available to residents who were told it's an extension of your home. The last month, no one available at the office. Would love to be able to see more communication. I've asked upper management for a new lease and never got or phone calls back. You go into the office and nobody is there, and increases are all over the place. That's some spelling. Everything is great in the complex, however, way overpriced. Many tenants moving out due to price. Living at Woodgrove has been very comfortable. One thing that would be better is if there were better maintenance of the screen golf room, as well as easier ways to reserve the spaces for larger gatherings. Management seems too often in a state of flux. Emails and phone calls are not answered, no matter how hard I try. In the beginning, there were people manning the offices. Now all there is a lobby sign that says showing property. We'll be back at 9 a.m. no matter what time or day you go into the clubhouse. I don't know what's going on since there is no communication. Such a lovely place, but I can't understand why the management thinks it's okay to ignore time after time when tenants reach out. Rents are getting way too expensive, and the clubhouse is always being rented out. I pay for it, and it's an extension of my home. That's how it was sold. I have lived here for a year and a half, and the facility is very nice and well kept. Lately, there are concerns over access to amenities, which we pay a high price for and are entitled to full access. It seems there are concessions made to non-paying, which create very frustrating experience. Love this community and my amazing neighbors. However, the running of the community with outrageous rent increases and total lack of access to amenities that renting families pay for is unacceptable. The apartments are beautiful. The grounds are clean. The experience is very stressful and uncertain. I am sure, like any other complexes, there are issues. We are happy here. There are issues with... Ow! ZZ! Stop biting me. Okay. This is your last chance. You can stay if you stay there. That's the deal. You stay there, you can stay. If not, you're out of here. There are issues with renting out, or the renting of the amenities on weekends, which is not fair to all residents. This would be my only complaint. There are certain aspects that have changed since I originally moved in, which has affected the use of amenities. Overall good. Been here several years. Apartment is very nice. I do wish management was more active, more responsive. They primarily just ignore calls and emails, even if it is a request for help. Kind of blows my mind. Residents being irresponsible with garbage, blah, blah, blah. I think the reservations for rooms in the clubhouses needs an overhaul as well. The specific time slots and having to pay extra money to reserve is nonsense and insulting when factoring in the never-ending rent increases. The percentage of the rent increases are insulting, shocking, not getting anything out of the extra money we're paying each month. Makes no sense. We'll never pay a large sum of money to use a room in the clubhouse that we literally pay for each and every month. I was a very happy resident for 2 years. Recent management changes have left us residents very unhappy and frustrated. The amenities that we pay to use are no longer available to us unless we pay additional money to reserve for casual use. The ownership and religious organization they represent have made some very disruptive policy changes that are inequitable to paying residents in favor of non-paying organization residents. A positive change would be to eliminate any amenity fees for all and require a per usage fee, or limit the use of clubhouses as a religious meeting place and return it to casual use for all. So I know that was a bit long in just reading everyone's comments here, but I think it was important to get a broader scale here. And this was only a portion of the ones that I found. There are seemingly a lot of complaints, specifically about why the heck are people that aren't paying to live here, aren't paying this amenity fee, why are they getting a special privilege to be able to use these facilities whenever they want, but we get absolutely nothing? Going back into this article, I just wanted to read what one person said here. Patricia Kolianos and other tenants agree the Jehovah's Witness volunteers are generally nice and polite, but a pattern has developed in which the rent-paying tenants have less and less access to the clubhouse, theater, game room, and more recently, the outdoor barbecue grills. Tenants say they can be using one of the facilities, and a Jehovah's Witness volunteer comes in and says they've rented the space. When the tenants balk, the volunteers say they've reserved the space, and if there is a standoff, they threaten you, "I'm going to make a phone call." So we have to leave, said Kolianos, adding that paying tenants are the ones who support the amenities. It's insane how many fights there are. It's disgusting. Tenants doubt they have any legal recourse because they feel aggrieved and victimized. So this is real world, honest feedback about what it's like dealing with the Jehovah's Witnesses in this situation. They've experienced a management change where they had a worldly company managing the premises, the witnesses bought it, and there's this transition to an ordinary Jehovah's Witness. They would probably say, "Oh man, you guys have it good now. Jehovah's Witnesses own your property. Whew, it's going to be the best management you've ever experienced in your entire life." But in reality, Jehovah's Witnesses are really annoying because they're crazy. At the end of the day, when you're dealing with someone that lives in cloud cuckoo land, like we're talking about people that think that a donkey spoke to this prophet. There's a prophet by God, and the whole thing of Balaam. Anyway, it gets a little confusing. But a donkey actually talked to him, like Shrek. They think Shrek is real, like actual historicity here. It's dealing with someone that has their heads that far in the clouds to think that Shrek is an accurate representation of historic events is very frustrating, because once you're that delusional and you think you're so special because you're the only one that understands that Shrek is real, it makes you like this very entitled, self-righteous, can't be wrong type of personality. And I'm gonna be honest, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, I had a lot of that in me. I thought I couldn't be wrong. I thought I was always right. Whatever thought popped into my head, or how I saw the world, or how I was told to see the world, I was 100% right. And there is a 100% that the other person was simply wrong. And if you have that mindset that you are 100% right all the time, and everything that you think is like this beautiful masterpiece of eloquence, and that what everyone else says is this heaping pile of trash and vomit, you are going to be the most insufferable human being to deal with. Now, just to like put things on balance and do a little juxtaposition here, let's just take a look at how Watchtower sees themselves or tries to portray themselves as behaving towards worldly people.
My overall experience with Watchtower has been, I guess in one word, professionalism, attention to detail.
They don't cut any corners. I mean, sometimes there's companies trying to save money here and there, trying to cut a corner here and there, and I've never witnessed anything like that with working with this organization.
I've been here since the project started, been here many times doing inspections. I've never worked around so many professional people who have the same goal.
Any questions I had from reviewing the project to doing the inspections just went so smoothly.
Everyone is always on top of any situation that may arise. There's always self-inspections and just the tenacity to just keep going day after day, you know, dedicated crews always to fix any problem that may arise. Right? I've really actually never had the opportunity to work with a more inviting group. Every time I come by the site, it's just a pleasure, you know. You don't get to have that experience in construction all the time, so it's refreshing, really.
What was interesting about our project is we had contractors and volunteers together, men and women, and coming from different parts of the country.
Most of the workforce here is volunteers, but I find that term misleading because, you know, everybody that I worked with was completely professional and very well trained.
They're so professional, it's just wonderful. I wish all the projects were like this, to tell you the truth.
Everybody was really courteous, polite, and you know, morale was at an all-time high here.
Out of the 14 plus years I've been with the planning board, I'd have to say the best applicant to work with, bar none.
Really, this organization and this job site really is a testimony to how one's spirituality, how important it is to every day, you know, every aspect in life.
This is a load of barnacles.
So the Jehovah's Witnesses really feed this narrative to their members that, oh, everyone just loves us. Aren't we just the best? It is just so wonderful working with Jehovah's Witnesses. Where the reality of the situation can be a lot different. We're talking about this massive project that's happening, and it's going to cause a lot of problems. Like, during construction, this is a main thoroughfare. What's the traffic going to look like for just regular people that live there?
Some Rockland commuters are getting impatient with the Jehovah Witnesses' massive project on the edge of Rockland County. Contractors are running into problems installing utility lines around the site of the group's future media center. News 12's Ben Nandy is in Ramapo with the very latest.
Commuters want to know what the holdup is with the project on Sterling Mine Road. The group is building an audio-visual center that will include production workshops, offices, a gym, and 645 apartments for the volunteers who will be producing the group's videos and literature. It's going to be almost as big as their world headquarters in nearby Warwick.
It's taking forever.
Chris Elias says it seems like each time he drives through the site, another section of road has been dug up and covered by water and gas contractors. It's bumpy.
It's been going on for months. And the road is just like really crappy to drive on.
Drivers are telling me it's been going on far too long. It's getting old. They still probably have a few more months to go, though.
And as everyone knows, dealing with traffic and construction is a real headache, especially if the project continues to get postponed over and over again. And you have a situation as well where if you live in this community, what do the Jehovah's Witness bring in if they're moving in? It's not like, oh man, Amazon's going to build this warehouse and it's going to provide jobs and tax income for this county. Man, it's going to be great. But when the Jehovah's Witnesses move in, they want their tax exempt status to the best of their abilities to find it. I doubt they can do it with this Woodgrove place, but maybe they'll manage to pull it off with some fancy lawyer talk. Who knows? But they're not going to be bringing in any tax revenue. The people that work in those facilities, it's not like they're going to go outside of the Watchtower headquarters and be spending money on any local stuff. Most of they don't have any money because they're working their Bethelites. Everything's taken care of. They get like a tiny little stipend, so they don't have money that they can spend outside. So it's just kind of a headache for the people that live in this apartment complex. It's a headache. They're getting kicked out. They're having to relocate. They're having Jehovah's Witnesses do a hostile takeover of the facilities that they pay for. That should be illegal if I'm honest, but that is just a massive headache and an inconvenience. If you're just trying to drive to work or to go see your parents, it's a massive headache. And so I just wanted to put this video out there just to really highlight something that I don't think we really talk about that much. And that is that Jehovah's Witnesses have this idea because in general, they're very nice, polite people that are fairly considerate. I would say most Jehovah's Witnesses on average fall into like this, pretty decent little spot as far as the spectrum of the human experience goes. But when you get a collection of them together and there is a problem, they will be one of the most annoying groups you can ever deal with for what I said earlier. They have their heads in the clouds. They don't live in this corporeal dimension with the rest of us. Their heads are so far up the governing body's butts that they smell like poop. That's why they probably moved this to Ramapo. It is crazy. Anyway, I just wanted to rant about this a little bit, and it is interesting because ordinary Jehovah's Witnesses have no idea that Watchtower is buying and selling or renovating various properties all around the world. And I think if most Jehovah's Witnesses knew that Watchtower had the finances to just be able to, I think we should just buy this old Geico building. I think we should just buy this luxury apartment complex. I think they would ask themselves some questions like, how much money do they need from me? Like if they're just walking out on the street and buying things that are tens of millions of dollars willy-nilly like it's nothing, spending hundreds of millions of dollars, making this new movie studio, spending who knows how many millions of dollars making their Jesus little drama thing, they might start asking themselves, why do they need like Jeff's money? Why does Jeff need to send them $50 if they are so wealthy that they can go out without blinking twice and spend tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars for their bolstering of their real estate portfolio? That's why ordinary Jehovah's Witnesses would never know about this. Anyway, just wanted to cover this topic real briefly and very, very surface level. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. With all of that being said, stay safe, be kind, and never forget that curiosity is the true fountain of youth. And you better have a good ass day.